All right. Welcome to another episode of the Ronald Diltz II podcast show. Today, I have a wonderful individual that I'm so blessed to work with at Full Sail University, Mr. Angelo Perrino. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hey, man, thank you for being here. It's amazing. I always like to reflect on, with my guests when I originally first met you. Of course, you started working at Full Sail. Everyone seemed to knew who you were but me. You know what I'm saying? So, over the time I did get the opportunity to get to know you. I think the more so we got to know each other was when we volunteered for Mr. Ryan Funk, who also worked with us at, the Rep Theater summer program. And I was just like, we finally got to catch up, meet in person. And I was just like, this is a cool brother here. I may have to bring him on my show. So, but yes, man, how was it? How was it for you, being able to work, that project and stuff with us?
Oh, I really liked it. And I was just realizing the other day, like it's summer now. Like, are we gonna
Right.
again? Is it time to start planning for that? Because
yeah, I haven't heard anything. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know, if he's still doing it, with them. So we'll see. Only time can tell, right? But yeah, I haven't heard anything. I was thinking the same thing too. So
we
yeah,
also did the casting together for your.
yes, that is right. So we have a lot. I think it was probably the casting that we probably connected the most. I was getting them mixed up because it was at the same location. So yes, we did cast for the DTAC Productions that we're working on, the D-Tactical project. So yeah, so that was pretty cool and fun. So
Did
yes, man.
That happen? I never heard an update after that.
Yeah, they're trying to get it rolling. We have shot plenty of scenarios, and they're hopefully trying to get it launch soon. We're still wrapping up some of the shooting on it as well, and they start the editing process, which you can imagine can be a little something. but yeah, so they're hoping to launch it soon, so in the upcoming months. But I know they're in the editing process right now, so we'll see. But cool. It's coming. So yes, man. So great stuff, man. So, but again, thank you so much for blessing us with your time. So my first question for you, what inspired you to pursue a career in film and television? Like, that's like the biggest question for everybody, right?
My answer has always been the same, so it's easy. When I was 5 or 6, I saw the movie Willow in theaters, and when we were walking out of the theater, I told my mom I want to make movies. Like, that was
wow.
That movie just did it for me. So
that's awesome.
And I've watched movies, I mean, like before that and ever since then. But my mom, if you want to talk about what inspired me, we grew up really poor, and I hope this is okay to admit, but we would sneak into movies. Like so it was kind of our thing. Like, that was like it was just me and my mom, and every week we would go on Friday or Saturday and then sneak into several movies. We would watch every new movie that came out every week. I have to assume that the people that worked at the movie theater just knew we were doing it and didn't care.
Yo, that is an amazing just story, just to know that that's part of your journey, you know what I'm saying, coming from that experience and having to do that and doing it with your mother, someone that is very dear to you, you know what I'm saying? So, wow. Yeah, that's definitely a nice impact. So how old would you say when you first realized, hey, I love movies? I know with me, I was checking out, I think it was a Denzel Washington movie with my dad, and I think I was in middle school or just started 9th grade. It was summer, and I realized I want to act. That was the first time I realized that I wanted to act. So how old were you, would you say, Angelo, when that age when you watched that movie?
I think I was 5 or 6. I'd have to look up the exact time it came out, but
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you knew it really early age. So yeah, man, that's cool.
I didn't know anything about it, though. There weren't like behind the scenes videos readily available. There weren't like a ton of there were documentaries, but I didn't have access to them. There weren't streaming. Right. So like, even though I knew that at 5 or 6, it still took a long time before I could actually do anything about it.
Yeah, yes. That's pretty cool. Would you say too, what was probably the first time you picked up a camera since you knew so early? What was the first time that you actually got to pick up a camera?
Um, well, back then it was analog. I'm turning 40 this year. Um,
Nice. That was me
so
last year, so I know. All
yeah.
right, big 4-0, man. That's what's up.
So the thing about the analog and the time that we both grew up is that cameras weren't that easy to get a hold of, especially if you didn't come
Yeah.
with money in any way. Like they were expensive. So I
Right.
remember always being so excited if I got to have a Polaroid camera. Like that was a
Oh
big
yeah.
for me. Like I only ever had the temporary ones, like the ones you just roll and shoot and then turn the whole camera in. So that was throughout my life with still cameras. Um, People knew about my passion, so like I feel like throughout my life people would randomly give me like old broken cameras and just be like, maybe
Oh,
you can do something with this. So I
right.
would try. Uh when I was going into freshman year of high school, I think it's probably
Mhm.
the first time I really got to mess with cameras. Did I got into a magnet school. I think it was called
Sweet.
Lakewood High.
Okay.
It's in Florida, and they had a communications program, and it
Mhm.
was like I could just get into a communications program and like start learning how to do film and TV and camera. But it was a 2-hour bus ride away,
Oh
uh,
wow.
each
Yeah.
way, and
Wow.
and I found out you don't actually get to touch the cameras until your sophomore year. So I was
Oh,
like, it was a miserable first freshman year where I was like doing all this stuff that had nothing to do with film and spending 4 hours a day on a bus.
right.
So I ended up, I'm sure I touched some cameras there, but where I really got to touch cameras for the first time is I quit that school, just went to
Mm.
the local school that was in my jurisdiction, which was Clearwater High School, and they had a brand new, it just turned out my sophomore year of high school, they had a brand new television station they built for the high school that there
Wow.
was no teacher for, no
Oh,
instructor, no one knew how to run it. And I had had some training at my previous high school and their control room for their magnet program. So I ended up getting to come in as a sophomore at this brand new school and immediately getting to take over this thing because they put
wow.
I'm not saying he's not a smart guy, but they put the gym teacher who also taught AP,
Uh,
I think AP American history. It like he didn't know anything about cameras and he didn't seem super passionate about it. So really, he was just
yeah.
happy that there was a few students that just knew what to do already and could just take
Right.
over. So yeah, my first experience was doing news, like doing the morning
Wow.
announcements and teaching myself the camera stuff there, teaching myself how all the wires worked and that everything was connected and how to run it. And as a sophomore at a new school, that was also really helpful for like getting to meet people and know people
Oh
and
yeah.
not just be the new outsider. And then I did that all 3 years, like that I was there. So I just
Wow.
ran the news and got better and better at it.
Yo, that is like, that's amazing. Like, not many of us had the opportunity to do this in high school. You know what I'm saying? So that's truly amazing. And it was around sophomore that I started doing theater in high school, which grew my love for the arts, through that. So, man, what a story, Angelo.
We're
So
just
from
starting.
Yeah, I know. We're just getting started, right? Got so much to do. So from that experience, right? 3 years in high school, being able to do that, tell us about your college experience. How was your college experience after all of that?
I should have asked you this before we dived in, but like how minute of details, like things should I dive deep into, or like I'll just keep it broad, and if you want to ask, we'll go
Yeah,
deep.
yeah. You tell your story. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So yeah, tell your story, and I'll let you go as deep as you want to go. I'm open. I'm
So
learning. That's
you
what.
said the college experience, what that was. So I I just I feel like a lot of my story is going to involve I came from a poor family. So like a lot of my choices and things I had to do involve like
Yeah.
what I had access to. So um I grew up across the street just coincidentally from a community college. Like my whole life, I grew up across the street from this community college. So even though I had pretty decent grades in high school, like not a 4.0, but like pretty high, like high at like at 3.5 or 6 or something like that. And so even though I had really good grades, financially, it just made sense for me to still go to a community college. It was right across the street. And with the Bright Future Scholarship that I qualified for, do they still have that? Is that something you with
Yeah, I remember that coming through when I came through,
Yeah.
because we're around the same age. But I don't know if that's something that still exists now, but I'm pretty sure it was a great scholarship,
I
for
hope
all
it
of us.
exists for
Yeah.
your kids or something
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that paid. So with community college being so cheap, and I actually got a job there, I was actually getting paid to go to school. Like my first 2 years of college, I was with my grants and everything, like I was making money going to college, which I really like. If you can arrange a way to make money to go to college, that's the best way.
Wow.
And I had an amazing teacher named Dean Kors. Do you know that name?
Dean Kors?
Yeah.
Not familiar to me.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because this was like 2003, and he was a teacher at Full Sail as well. He taught at my community college and at Full Sail. So,
wow.
So I just thought maybe someone knew him from something, but yeah.
In 2003, I was actually at the University of Florida, doing a theater degree there. So yeah, so I didn't come to Full Sail to, I want to say it was 2007. So yeah, when I did the film program at Full Sail.
Maybe Bob, because Bob just celebrated his 20th anniversary. Maybe he knew him. But my point is, he was a fantastic teacher. He was my first real film teacher, and he had a great influence on me and a lot of other students I know. He was just very personal, and he cared about everybody. And so he actually took me on a tour of Full Sail. So I saw it like when it was first starting. And but yeah, sorry, there's like a long answer because I had a lot of colleging. So like
good, brother.
I did my AA, and this I feel like you might edit a lot of my stuff, my tangents, but this did lead to my first film gig that I ever brokered myself. So they didn't have a lot of film opportunities at my community college when I was there, but like Dean really worked with me and helped me like figure out other things that I could do that would be still teaching me what I needed, but qualified for other credits. And during this time, my hometown of Clearwater is sister cities with Nagano, Japan, which means they just have some sort of connection that they decided to have and foster and grow. And so every year they send 4 students from America during our summer break, which is not their summer break, to go. So it's not like a direct exchange program, but we go over during our summer break. They send 4 students over their summer breaks. And I've been
amazing.
And I had been taking Japanese lessons. With the hope that I would get to be one of these 4 students. And I didn't find out until I was already 18 and already graduated that they do not take 18-year-olds or people who have graduated, because they don't want you to, what they want to get out of you is that you come back to Clearwater and talk about the program. So this is where it comes into my first film deal, where I convinced them that A, I'm going to this community college, I'm not leaving the area, and B, I can make you guys a promo video while I'm there. So no one else could offer them that. So I got to go to, that was my first brokered Japanese deal. I got to, brokered film deal. I got to go to Japan for free, like all expenses paid, got to see a ton of Japan. I got to do all sorts of events and things that you wouldn't normally get to do. It was an amazing opportunity. And I filmed the whole thing and made this short documentary that they said they loved and they used on their website. And so that was my, first like, film success thing I actually really did that worked out.
Right in college, man. Like that's huge, Angelo. Yeah, that's very huge.
And that trip changed my whole life. Like
I'm sure. Like that had to be an amazing experience, especially being in college and being able to be a part of that. So yeah, man. Would you say you had any challenges while, in that process? You seem like you had a lot of great things going on. Were there any like challenges when it came to like just trying to stay focused with the journey of, hey, I want to eventually make movies or I want to get into more films? Did you have any challenges facing that?
Yeah, yeah. The first one I thought, I mean, there's a lot, but the first one I thought of was like specifically in Japan. I almost died. I
Whoa.
got really bad food poisoning. So
Oh,
that's about safety and being aware of your surroundings and making sure
yeah.
you have good health insurance when you travel. And but yeah,
Hmm.
like I think that was also my first like if we get into it, there's a few times I've almost died on sets. So, but this was
Wow.
my
I
first
know.
one.
I know who to bring in when I'm talking about set safety, for my
Absolutely.
lectures now.
You wouldn't be,
Wow.
there Michael Hanley and a couple other teachers will bring me in sometimes to talk about
Wow.
that safety.
That is like, wow, that's mind blowing. So, you had a great experience during college. I mean, high school was amazing. I mean, both of these, were just amazing experiences from what you've already told me. What was it like for you after college now?
Okay. Um, so just quickly, I went to University of Tampa for the second 2 years and got my bachelor's. And at the time they had at the time they had the #1 rated communications program in the country when I went. And they had just opened their first year of a film program. So that film program had no ratings, but like based off that
Mm,
it built off the communication degree, I think they did fantastic. Like they did a wonderful job and I learned a ton. And the reason I bring that up is because I kind of know where some of your questions are going. And uh my first opportunity came from University of Tampa. Like my first real paid gig came from making a good impression on enough teachers while I was at University of Tampa that when this film from New York came down, and I cannot remember the name of it, but they
mhm,
came down. It was an independent film, and they needed to shoot Cuba. And at the time, you couldn't shoot Cuba. You couldn't bring an American crew to Cuba. So they were like, "We'll just shoot Florida. There's palm trees. It'll look like it."
mm.
And we shot at the Don Cesar. Do you know that? It's like the super fancy, pretty old style hotel in St. Pete.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never been there, but yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
it has a lot of palm trees and stuff,
yeah,
I'm assuming. Yeah.
yeah, it's very
Wow.
nice, I think even the colors of the buildings will remind people of Cuba. From what I remember, it's been
I'm
a
gonna
long
have to check. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up, man. Yeah, definitely.
time. But yeah, so making all those really good impressions on the teachers, and eh, so really when we get to your getting your foot in the door questions, like it started in college for me.
Mm,
They called and said, we want your top 3 students. And so it was me and 2 other
wow.
students that they said they sent us to this film set. Um,
Wow.
and this can also lead to, I know you were going to ask me about mistakes I made on set, because I made at 3 I could think of just on my first day.
Wow.
For, um, but yeah, so like that was me getting my foot in the door, was making a good impression on my teachers. Right when I graduated, got me 3 film jobs, and I could tell you about
Whoa.
it all kind of dominoed.
Wow. That is amazing, man. Like you have like the most epic story already, just hearing how everything has just fell into place, since high school, right?
Yeah, well,
So
there was hard work in between. There's stuff.
right, right. There's hard work, but everything flowed where it was supposed to be, right? Exactly. So what did you wish you probably would have known, in this earlier part of your career, now that you have moved on, you're doing great things, you're teaching full time, you're still working on a lot of projects. What's something that you wish you would have known back then when you had all this going on? Because you still had a lot going on.
So when I turned 30, I hurt my back,
Mm,
and it was technically it I film related.
whoa.
I was shooting a documentary on my own, uh, uh, out in the wilderness. So like, it wasn't like it was just already a dangerous situation. It wasn't like a set that was, like we weren't on a set like that was safe.
Right, right.
Like there was like slippery rocks. So what I would tell my younger self is like really like, because I was already a very safe person and I am even more now. Like, it's not about amping up the safety, it's about understanding you are on a clock, your body's getting older, your brain's gonna deteriorate. Like, you just like, my best advice would just be like, you're on a different timetable than you think you are. Like, you need even now, just seeing how like sometimes businesses just want younger, like they just think younger means like fresh and new, but that's not, they could also mean like a disaster and they don't know what they're doing. But like, so like, I just wish I had pushed myself harder when I was younger, because I think that taking advantage of that window when I had the energy and health and even just the bravado to just push myself forward, and I think I could have pushed my career further earlier.
Gotcha. No, that's great, man. Great information there. Now, Angelo, I know you've worked in a lot of already, early in your career, worked on a lot of film gigs. Were there any odd jobs that you had to take in between gigs, to survive? That's probably like the one question that a lot of our students, need to know as well.
I want to tell you my what do you call it? Your top three or bottom three? I want to tell you like the worst three I did.
Hey, whatever you want to share. The worst three would be perfect, actually.
Okay, just give me 1 second, my cat's
yeah.
All right, well, starting in high school, I did data entry for a water company. It was literally just like paper stacks this thick with hundreds of numbers, and I'm just typing those numbers in. Like, they had to already exist in a computer somewhere. I don't know why they needed to be retyped. Like, it was just like a terrible system, and I was just typing forever and ever and ever. And like, I felt so accomplished when I finished my first stack, and then they just put a new stack. It didn't matter. There was like never ending.
Wow.
So that was
that sounds very tedious.
I don't recommend data entry at all but it's a steady paycheck.
Oh yeah.
I had to, in college, I had to work at a deli as a waiter. And honestly, I kind of actually like that one. But if you're not doing what you're passionate about, what you set out for, what you're in college for, even if you enjoy the job, eventually it's gonna tear you. Like, it's just gonna not work. Something's gonna break. A good example I have of that is after I worked on a few feature films, I got hired to direct for a home shopping channel. I actually got hired to be a camera operator, but the day I got hired, or like within the first week of me getting hired, the directors all quit and a producer got fired. And then I was the highest ranking person there.
Wow.
I was also the only person there who had a college education. Everyone else who had been trained on the job with no prior information about filmmaking. So I ended up in a situation where I got a higher position very quickly at a company right out of college, and I stuck with it for a year because I was like working full-time directing a TV show. It wasn't narrative, it wasn't a story, it was just shopping stuff, but I still felt good about it. But after I realized it just wasn't what I wanted to do. Even when they're like, you're breaking sales records, you're doing so good, it wasn't what I wanted. And that's what led me to go to NYU. Like, I decided I wanted to get higher education and direct what I really wanted to direct.
Wow, man. That's like, sounds like you got a lot of favor over your life. I just don't know if you know that. You got a lot of favor, man. But yes, no, that's amazing. So my next question for you, you've already, of course, answered the one that I would usually ask. How did you get your first opportunity? Tell us about your first.
I want to tell you the real, if I can, the real.
Like, yes.
Because that was just the over view of how it happened. But like what really happened was, like, if we're talking to your listeners about like, it's not just one thing, but it can boil down to one thing. And so my foot in the door story is, at my college, I was work study for the Cage. And the Cage is where they keep all your equipment. So every teacher and every student that needed to check out gear talked to me. So like, I got well known. I was always helpful. I went above and beyond to learn the gear, so that when people had questions or things broke, I could actually be useful. So from the beginning, I was catering reputation of like, this is who I am. You can rely on me. I'm going to do this. I know this stuff. I work hard and I'm friendly. And that is what we're all networking. We all want that kind of vibe. And after that, I also started volunteering. So like there was a film festival that my school worked with that was for India. It was like an India film festival, and I helped out with that whole thing. I helped with the projector. I helped with some of the after parties, and making all these extra connections with the teachers outside of school, I know is what led me to actually get on that list of 3 students they sent to that film.
Wow.
That was my, I'll call that the college foot in the door. But now I'm in the professional world. How did I get that extra professional step? Because I was still unpaid intern for like this 10-day shoot when they came down from New York. So I was doing the same thing. I was making myself as useful as possible. I was doing all my tasks ahead of time. If I didn't have to be asked, I was always making sure I could do things ahead of time and see things as they were coming. So like they would see me as someone who just solved stuff. Like, yes, they could go explain something to someone else, but they already know if we just say, Angelo, this is on its way, he'll just go handle it. And so like as a PA getting their foot in the door, if people know they can just rely on you, that makes your life so much easier because they just want to bring you with. They don't want to train someone new. They don't want to have to deal with something else. They just want to go, we know I can rely on this person. I don't have to think about it anymore. And you're making everyone else around you's life easier, then they're going to bring you with to the next thing. So that was my intent the whole time I was there. But at the end of day 1, so like here's my trick / advice is, as a PA, I know what I need to do. There's only a few things you really need to do. There's like, you will figure out that there's a limited set of normal tasks you have to do. So you can do them ahead of time and you can be preemptive about them and you can work ahead. So when you're doing all that stuff, then you'll have some downtime. And the downtime you don't want to do is just sit down or just start being loud on set. So I go stand near the people that I want to work with the most, which is the director and the DP. So I've done my work. I'm keeping my eyes open to any other work that might pop up that I'm responsible for, but I am standing at the ready near the departments I want to be in. So at the end of the first day, I see the director and the DP leaning on a dolly, kind of having this moment, talking to each other like they're really close to each other, but I can hear them. And they're saying, the DP saying, if we just had one more person on the camera crew, we would be going so much more smoother. We just need one more person we can rely on. And they were facing each other really close, like leaning like this. They both just turned their heads right towards me in that moment. And another PA walked right in front of me and they called her instead. So this is a story about like preparation. And then it can literally just be you're in the right moment. They looked and this girl stepped in the way and they gave her the camera job. Like, so she got to be the camera PA. Now, here's where preparation still wins. The next day, I got to work early. I was there at 8:30. We were supposed to be there at 9. I did all my tasks. It was 8:50. And I said, hey, because I saw the camera guy still setting up. I was like, anything I could do to help until the real camera PA gets here? And like, oh yeah, sure. Like, just, can you help us just bring some boxes? Like, no, they didn't have me do anything complicated because they didn't know me. It was just go for work. But 9 o'clock rolls around and she's still not there. And I'm still helping the camera team. And then 9:10 rolls around. She still hasn't shown up. She doesn't realize the opportunity that this really was for her. So by 9:10, I'm like, hey, can I just keep doing this? Or I don't remember how I worded it, but I was just like, I think I was patient and I waited till the DP was like, where the F is she? Like we're supposed to be setting up our first shot and we need her. Because apparently it wasn't a camera PA, it was media manager, which was a new position that was just being invented as analog was shifting into digital. It's kind of like a second AC, and they were just in that moment figuring out what do we need. And so she didn't show up in time and I got the job. So it's still, it can be just the right moment, the right place, but it also very much is showing up early and working hard and being noticed and keeping an eye on the opportunities. Like I knew that opportunity existed. I will
Man.
say later, I found out that woman found out she was pregnant and she had just had a lot on her plate, and she just decided she was never going to show up to that film. She was just done with it. And I don't know if she pursued film ever again after that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was already graduated. We didn't have classes anymore, and she was a no
Man,
call, no show is what they call it. So
that's a story right itself, man.
unprofessional. Don't ever be a no call, no show, because then it'll be
Right.
we're calling you back either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Wow, what a story, Angelo, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was great. That was super great. And I have noticed even at Full Sail, you know, how you speak up when things are needed and volunteer when things are needed. So I've already admired that about you. So I see where it comes from, though. It's a lot of practice, man. But no, that's great to know. And even to go over and just wait by the director and the DP, just standing back, like I would have never even thought of that. Like that's genius. That's some really great advice.
There's an art to it too, because you could also be perceived as creepy or pushy, or there's space or some sort of abrasiveness. Like I'm well back. I'm not bothering them. I think at one point in, like, for each department I'm interested in, I introduce myself and I'm just like, just so you know, if you see me standing, I'm not doing anything, please ask me. Like, if you need help with something, I'm happy to help. Like, it's just like a little intro to that for like everyone, that so they knew what I was doing, but like I was still staying far back. And because you want to live in people, and I love, this is Gio saying that I steal, is you want to live in people's heads rent free. And I just changed that a little, because it is very easy to live in people's heads rent free in a negative way. Like that space is open, there's a lot more space available, and it's easy to move in. You don't have to show any sort of down payments, but like if you want to move in a positive way, that's really good way to make sure you're networking and that people want to keep working with you.
Wow. Yeah, man. That's some really, really great advice. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So you've told us about several productions that you've worked on. I don't know if it's one of the ones you've told us about already, but what would you say was your most, like, your biggest opportunity that you was like, yo, I can do this and get paid this for the rest of my life? Tell me about that experience. Your first major production, you would say. If you haven't told us already, of course.
Okay, so my first favorite production was it wasn't a huge budget and it wasn't a big deal and it didn't turn out the best. But at one point I got flown to London to direct a music video, and that made me feel like such a cool guy.
Come on, man.
Like I had never been to Europe at all ever before. So like it was my first time in Europe, and I just happened to be dating a British woman at the time. So like it turned into a whole trip. So like I went 2 weeks for the music video and stayed 2 weeks to meet her family for Christmas. And so, so like, yeah, I felt like I was on the right track and doing good stuff. I've also, another good moment like that was the very first commercial I produced when I moved to California was for a nonprofit that helps homeless people. And I was going to tell you about that one when you were asking about negative shoots, because it started off negative, but it got very positive. And so like by the end of it, when I saw the final product of film can be powerful and it can affect you in other ways. Like I wasn't like, oh shoot, I made money doing this, I want to keep doing this. I was like, oh shoot, I made something where all the actors were homeless people in this program, and people who were benefiting from it, having real experiences, talking of it. Was like an infomercial. It was like longer than 60 seconds. It was like a minute 20, but like I cried when I saw the final product, like because I felt like I did something good. Right. Just do something. Like I told a story. I connected with the people in it and the people that got to see it. Like, I just felt like it was the whole package, and it felt like I wasn't expecting that from a commercial.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was one of the best moments I've had in film. And I've had a few things like that. Like I've worked on documentaries for, people who are really struggling and making better impressions on their lives. One time I worked for a TV show where like we do renovations as surprises, and seeing the families, like seeing like people just their minds explode when like something so generous and so big happened to them. Made me feel, the days I worked on sets like that, I felt better, just better in general, like as a person, in my chest, in my heart. Like I just felt like I'm not just doing entertainment, I'm making positive changes in the world. And sometimes you can feel that from the art, like I'm creating art and my art is having an impact, but that can be mercurial.
Right.
These kinds of shoots where it's like I can literally see the positive impact, it hits you hard, and I really like that. And I'd love to work more shows like that.
That's amazing, man. That's great to hear too. It's really great to hear. And it's nothing like that when you can see, you know, people's lives changing right before you and you have a part of that. It's nothing like it, man. So no, that's really great to know that too. So I'll remember that. I definitely will if I have some projects like that. So yes, so my next question, now we're going to get into some juicy stuff now. So tell us about a time you failed and how did you overcome? And I know you usually have a list. So if you want to tell me a list, hey, talk away, man. I'm loving these stories, man.
So okay, so that commercial I was just talking about, there was like a major, so I have, okay, let me boil it down. I have some like technical literal mistakes, and then this one was a more mercurial mistake. So a professional thing. So when I was making that commercial with the nonprofit I was talking about, the director wanted me there for some of the crew hires. Like I'm usually sometimes included for actor hires, but I'm not usually always included for like other key members that are going to be picked. So he had me there for interviews, and one of the interviews was for the set decorator, and I'm not going to say names or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah.
So she was literally, I think, 20, but had a lookbook this thick of someone who'd been working for 20 years.
Wow.
And so I just had this gut feeling based off what she was saying and the absolute amount of experience she was pretending was hers, that there was something fishy going on. And the director was head over heels. He was like, she's perfect. She's so cheap and she has all this experience and we have to hire her. And I was like, I'm getting real vibes that she is either straight up lying or she was the assistant on these projects. She was not the actual creator. She is not, these are not her clients at 20. Like, I just didn't believe it. Like, even with, you know, like if she was YouTube famous, we couldn't afford her. You know what I'm saying? Like if she was like someone who had gone viral as a decorator, this was still a low budget nonprofit commercial. So something wasn't adding up. So I considered a professional mistake that I didn't push harder. Like my gut was so clear. Like I had no real doubt in my mind. And maybe I should, like, I don't know, but like that was just one thing. So here's where I think what led to some of the tears when I said I finally saw the final product and it turned out great was the night. A big part of this commercial was stretching this aged canvas, this huge aged canvas that these real people who had suffered from homelessness and were in this program were going to be drawing their own life stories on this huge canvas. And we're going to animate it into their narration. But they had to really have this canvas and they had to really start the drawings for each actor for that animation to start.
Yeah.
The night of, the girl calls and just admits she doesn't know what she's doing. She's at the art store. She's baffled. She's lost. She can't even fake it till she makes it. She's given up. And I am not an artistic person in the sense of creating art with my hands. I didn't go to an art school like that. I don't know how to do it. I can't draw. I can't do I don't know how to age the paper. I don't know what paper to get. Like I didn't go to that kind of art school and I don't know any of these things. And so like as a producer, to have this person that my gut said, do not hire, I didn't push it, suddenly just quit the night before, I ended up going to she had the budget too. So like, I think I had to even like meet her, get the cash, get what she had purchased, realize she purchased the wrong things, return those things, go to several other art stores, talk to many art people about how am I going to figure this out and do this on my own, solve the problem, do the artwork itself, create the poster, stretch it, age it, like whatever, there was a lot of process to the whole thing. I didn't know anything about it from the start of that night. I think I stayed up the entire night and didn't sleep. Like I literally was just bringing it straight to the set in the morning. So that was probably why I cried when it turned out well, because it's just like my first time in art direction as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that was my more mercurial answer of like, I didn't follow my gut. Like, and I had such a strong feeling.
Yeah. And did that ever get back to, I guess, the producer or whoever was,
I was the producer,
over you?
the director.
Oh, it was your baby.
Yeah, the director
Oh
definitely got
man,
back.
the director
I
was
made sure the director knew, hey, remember when I told you not to hire this person? What's the solution? And he was like, I don't know. And so like that, the solution was doing the work.
Yeah, that is crazy. Wow.
That's another piece of advice for a lot of your listeners, maybe, is sometimes it boils down to you just got to do it. Like,
got to do it. Yeah.
Like otherwise that, like all the actors that were getting paid would have probably still had to get paid for the next, like there wasn't enough time to say we're canceling the shoot. And sometimes there is like you can't cancel, like you're already kind of bound to pay depending on your contracts or like what's happening. You've already paid to rent the gear at that point. Like you've already checked it, rented it. So like if you don't shoot something the next day, you're losing a lot of money from that. So
yeah, that's just super crazy. Well, this leads to my next question. What are some key?
Oh, you don't want to hear the more
if you have more
ones?
If you have more, I want to hear it all.
I always have more. So the very first mistake I ever made on a film set was that same one, get my foot in the door. This happened either the first or second day, but for some reason, I was on the actual set hiding behind a couch. Like, I don't remember, like maybe they needed me to like hand a prop to an actor or signal someone. I was doing something where like I had to hide behind this couch. And I hear rolling and action, and then suddenly they're like, hey, someone close that door, like, and I was between the couch and this door right next to me that I could just reach and touch. They were like, it has to be closed, we're already rolling, and it's a film, like we were shooting on film. They're like, we are rolling, and you have to, like, someone shut that door. So I'm the closest person, it's already rolling, I'm hidden, and I just closed the door, and instantly the main light of the shoot turns off. And I looked down and a cable had been running through that door, and that's why it had been open still.
Oh,
so it wasn't my department.
It wasn't your department.
Set. But I was literally the best person to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just a PA, and the director was literally like, I couldn't see who was speaking. I could just hear a director and other people yelling, shut the door. But like right after I shut it, the lights, like I pinched the cable and the lights just shut off, and then a angry guy just came in through that door and was like, there was a reason it was open. And so like, it's just like my very first day on a film set, I learned that real rule of like, just don't touch things if you're not sure, if it's not yours. Like, be very aware of what's going on and everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then the second thing I did was on that same shoot, probably the same day, was and this is about being young and dumb. But on the walkie, someone was just talking crap about Clearwater, my hometown. Like they were just like whatever they were doing, they were just, like, they're just being sarcastic and like, oh, this dump or something. Like whatever they said, it was just rude for no reason. So I got on the walkie on channel 1 with everybody and said, some of us were born and raised here. And like there was just dead silence for like 30 seconds, and then that voice said, get off the walkie. And then I just thought I was in trouble for, like, I just thought I was getting fired for the rest of the night. And the next morning at like the meeting or whatever, they like someone had to actually say like, by the way, we love being here, we're so happy to be here, we love and respect all of the crew members from Clearwater. Like, so like I didn't actually end up in trouble for speaking up, but I felt like I was. And you can get in trouble for like being on the airwaves or talking unnecessarily. So keep it simple and be careful what you say, I guess.
Be careful what you say. Right. You know, one of the things that, you know, we're always talking about when it comes to set safety, now that you're saying this and having these moments where you actually spoke up, is what if you, and this is more so for our students and those that are just trying to get more experience on set, what if you realize when it comes to set safety that it's a situation that you don't feel comfortable with? maybe as a production assistant, and they're moving forward with trying to shoot, you know, in this particular location that could be harm. How do you feel about someone that's new to set, a production assistant that's just getting in, trying to get into the industry, speaking up about their safety when it comes to that situation?
Okay, so that's a very important question. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
And it's off the dome. It's off the dome. It's not even on my list, as you know. But that's
So
what happened.
so there's two parts of this. One is, if you feel you're the person in jeopardy, because you could feel someone else is in jeopardy. So I want to answer this for you and for someone else. So if you feel you are in jeopardy, do not do whatever it is. Like, I'm sorry if that was too loud, but that's the answer.
No,
whatever it is, you're safe. There is not a film being made in the future or in the past that has ever been worth a human life. Not a single one. It doesn't matter. Your safety matters more than anything. And so always remember that. So if here's something that happens all the time. They'll just put a single PA at the far end of a dark parking lot because, you know, people are going to be late and they don't know how to follow a hand-painted sign or a printed sign that says drive to the parking lot and get here. Like, I'm really not a big fan of putting individuals in dark areas all alone, far away from everyone else. Like, that happens all the time on sets. So speak up, tell them you're not comfortable with that. Ask them, why can't a sign just do this? I could put my flashlight here and the sign here. Why do I need to be out here in the dangerous situation? Any other, like, that was just one example. But I've seen a lot that's minor, but you should speak up. But the ultimate answer is, do not do it. Your health and safety are more important than whatever you're being asked to do. So you need to speak up. And because you will maybe find yourself on independent films or shows or people who don't have I hate to say it, but like, sometimes people don't have your best interest in mind. You think that they do because they're your bosses or coworkers or friends, but sometimes they don't. So you are the ultimate judge and jury of your own personal safety and well-being. So don't like, even if you feel like, oh, I agreed to do this, but now that I see this, I don't feel comfortable. I know people like that. People who feel that like they already said yes, so they have to do it. That is not true. You reassess the situation every moment. And if you reassess it and you realize you don't feel comfortable, or even just have a gut feeling that something's off, just say pause and address it, because sometimes you can even solve it. Sometimes you can be like, oh, we have a solution because we stopped and talked about it. And sometimes the solution, and this is the adult professional answer, is sometimes the solution is the director, producer, or DP doesn't get what they wanted. And that, sorry, you just don't get the shot. It's not safe. You don't put people at risk for this. And you will find yourself in situations, and I have found myself in this situation, where they go, we've heard your safety notes. We don't give a F. We're still doing it. And I actually, this is potentially an ongoing thing, so I can't give a lot of details about it, but I did receive the last film set I was on. I left early and didn't come back. It was like the last week of filming. Like, we had done 3 out of the 4 weeks, but I left early because they were going to shoot on an incredibly dangerous situation, like just illegal and dangerous. So I actually, the first time ever, I had to write a letter that I sent to the entire cast and crew, and I had to wash my hands of the whole thing, because I was like, I'm not going to jail for you. I'm not going to jail, prison. I'm not spending one night. I'm not doing. That's about your health and safety. Is not just about, by the way, it's not just your physical health and it's your mental health too. Like, there's a huge ordeal. If someone gets, I was going to talk about just the, like, if you get arrested or even think you're in trouble, that is stress. That is like, there's so much energy and badness from that you, even if it turns out okay at the end, you don't want to go through it in the first place. But there's another toll that's going to take. If one of your coworkers, friends, family, someone that's working on a film with you gets hurt or injured or killed, there's a whole level of like, that's going to haunt you the rest of your life. And are you really going to think that your short film was worth Jim losing his fingers? Like, or something worse? So I mean, it's just, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, man, that's like, wow.
I went on such a tangent. Did I answer your question fully?
Man, hey, you are doing amazing, okay, with these questions. So don't you worry about that. You're good. You're good, man. These are some really great answers. I'm learning a lot, and that's when you know you have a great person here. I'm learning a lot myself. Okay, all right. So no, this is great, Angelo.
Do you
So
want
tell
to
me, so
hear any of the other times I've almost died on a set?
you
If
say
we're
you have some other
talking about,
times you almost died on the
yeah, yeah. If you want to talk about safety, we don't have to, but like I've got plenty of
Yes.
those stories.
Tell me about the worst situation out of those. What was the top one?
The top
That was the
one
most
was,
craziest one. The most craziest one.
so just I want to take one step backwards to when we were talking about getting your foot in the door. When even with my 3 little mess ups I did on that Cuba set to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
I took out every crew member because they weren't from there. I had a huge, like a town car. I took everybody out grocery shopping or to bars after the set. Like I drove people
Wow.
places because they're also from New York and didn't even have a license, and there was a low budget,
Oh,
so I couldn't rent cars. So like I just wanted to mention that I did that on top of everything else, on
wow.
top of the full work days. So when they immediately had their next film starting in New York the next month, I was the only person they brought from Florida.
Wow.
So they were like, we want Angelo. Like I made a good enough impression that they brought me to, and I just wanted to bring that up because this is where the safety happened, was this next film. It was a road trip movie. It's called El Camino. There are, last time I looked, I think at least 10 other movies called El Camino. So if you're looking for the one I helped on, it's got Elizabeth Moss on the cover. She's the one of the main leads. And so we drove from New York down to Florida and across to California. And so just film and cars and everything, like the whole shoot was potentially dangerous. And there was one day we were like in the middle of the country and we were shooting on a hill and we had all this stuff set up in a car rig. And if you've seen car rigs where they actually use like full 2x4s and like clamp metal at the end and like have cameras hanging off the sides of the car. So like they had a full like metal bars and thick wooden poles just sticking out of this car from every direction from like multiple cameras to shoot this scene. Which was pretty, I think they only had 2 cameras, but for car stuff, they sometimes also added GoPros. And so we finished the scene on top of the hill, but our base camp's at the base of the hill. And this hill is just a thin dirt road with trees on the side. And so they call lunch and they go, okay, cool, everybody gets lunch. And people start walking down the hill. And I'm one of the last people because as a media manager, I'm like getting the cards and I'm starting to dump them to the hard drives. Like I'm starting this whole process before I can go get my lunch. And so I'm one of the last people down the hill, and I just hear in the distance the AD tell the actor, because you know it's like a lot of times people pamper actors, so like, oh, you don't have to walk down this long hill, just take the car, because he was already sitting there for the scene. But everybody forgot that there was 10 extra feet on each, you know, like 5 extra feet on each side of the car with these metal wooden beams and equipment and things sticking off the side. It's a thin dirt road in a forest. And the actor, you know, he's tired and not thinking about it and not a professional driver. So he's completely forgotten that these beams are coming sideways out of his car. So he just drives down the hill, and my glasses actually moved like a metal beam just pushed my glasses off my face. That's how close it was. So going, even if it's just 15, 20 miles, that metal beam, if that had been anywhere closer, it would have hit my skull and it's out.
That is crazy.
No one had any clue. No one like didn't know. The AD didn't know. But like you have to really think about that stuff. Like no professional set should the AD have said, just take the show car down there.
Right.
Like, it could have just been, Bud, just take a walk. Or if we really care about his knees that much, bring in a driving car.
Separate car, yeah. Yo, that is crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I was from behind, so I had no idea. Like I could have just been the end of my life, and I had no idea.
I didn't no idea. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like Alan Harris had a similar, well, not as crazy though, but it was very similar to equipment being hanging out a vehicle and almost hitting somebody on one of his sets. Man, y'all deal with some crazy stuff, you know. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's crazy. crazy situation. I'm glad you're still here though, Angelo.
Thank you.
Glad you made it, man. You got some angels around you, brother. Got some angels. So what advice now can you give our listeners that are preparing to graduate and of course want to work in this industry, do some of the amazing things that you have been doing, of course,
Well, you've already been networking. Just recognize that you've been networking and start doing it actively and doing it now. And don't wait till you graduate. Don't wait till you graduate to be like, oh, now I'm going to work on my portfolio. Even if you aren't going to film school, the answer is still now. Like, do it now. Start working now. Start doing the things you need to do now. Network with who you can now. Start building that now. The more you create, the more likely you are to create something amazing. So like, just keep creating, like just keep making stuff, and like you'll take notes, like learn what did work, why did it work, why didn't it work, like just take the positive from everything so that on your next project you can just take everything you know now that worked or why it didn't work and apply that to the new thing. And don't worry about if something's bad or not as good as you wanted it to be. Just keep making stuff, and eventually it's going to be as polished and as strong as you want it to be, and it's going to be ready to start showing people. But if you don't start that process now, it's only creating a wider gap for when it's going to be done later.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I'm taking notes myself on that one. Angela, are you working on any projects right now that you could tell us about?
Next month, it's not 100% solidified, but I think I'm going to be producing a commercial. So if there's any of my Florida students are listening to this, let me know you're in Florida, because we don't always know when they're actually here. So yeah, I whenever I do get a shoot, and I've only had a few since I moved to Florida and started doing Full Sail, because I'm working on my networking. But I always try to have students if I can. So yeah. Even if you're a future student of mine or a past student of mine, let me know you're in Florida, because when this stuff comes up, I try to educate and help as many as I can. And also it's always paid. I don't ask students to come
oh man, that's amazing. Work. I'll keep my eyes and ears open too. And please note, I'm here too, if you need me, to come
absolutely
on. Man, you got to work on some stuff together as well. But yes, man, always trying to get our students involved, and I'm here too to help out my brother too. We family now. You've been a guest on my show now,
I am working on a feature script, which I can't talk about, but I'm working on a short film that I am very excited about. Like, I feel like it's just works. I just think that it's it's gonna be artsy, it's gonna be emotional, it's gonna be something that I think everybody can relate to. So it's just a general audience kind of a personal project, which is also kind of new for me. Like, a lot of my stuff is not personal, it's very commercial.
Gotcha.
Out of my shell a little.
That's exciting, man. That's exciting to hear. And when you get it up and rolling, maybe we can have you back to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And even more and promote it.
Yeah. And well, I mean, you can also, I'm going to ask you when it's time if you want to work on it.
Okay. All right. I'm ready. Don't be trying to, get me all excited now and forget to hit me up now. All right. All right, man. No, that would be exciting. That would be totally exciting, a blessing opportunity for me. I'm trying to do more work myself. So I'm excited about that. So are there any resources that you can recommend? Maybe some books, some websites that probably your favorite?
Yes. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I don't want to say it wrong. Okay. So I haven't used this website yet, but I used its previous iteration, which is called Without a Box, but the new version is called filmfreeway.com.
Yes, I know that one. Yeah.
So when I was at NYU, I had a teacher tell me something, like, many things stuck with me, but one thing that relates to this was every film has a home. So like, there might be like things that are just with certain levels of quality, like maybe it doesn't, but like if you polish it enough, if you have enough of your main core elements, there is a place in a home for every film. It might be like a Roku channel. It might be just you publishing it on your own YouTube channel. You create the home for it, or it could be in a film festival. But like, that's why I like Film Freeway and websites like it, because it helps you bundle everything. Because if you apply to every individual film festival yourself for every single short film you make, it's going to just become taxing. It's going to become expensive. It's going to be time draining. But this website seems to let you just create one application that you can send to many websites all at the same time, many film festivals. So like just things like that, that just make we're all on limited time, no matter who you are in what industry, like your time is finite. So anything that helps you kind of get things done smoother, helps your day go better, gets rid of some of the stress. So like websites like that are things I would push for. I'm a big fan of the Adobe, like the whole cloud. Like I use every part of it. I know that it can be expensive for some people, especially if you're not, I know at Full Sail, it's part of your tuition. Like you get an account, and I believe that account even stays active for a year after you graduated. But if you're not in that situation and you're looking at the prices, you might be like, I can't do this, but they have packages and they have deals. And I can tell you that the Adobe customer service has always been great to me. So when I graduated from film school, I told them like, hey, I'm out of, like, I lost my year subscription, but I can't afford you guys right now. I'm still struggling. I'm still a student, really. And they said, no problem, we'll give you the student price. And they worked with me and they talked to me. And then when they were done that student price, I talked to them again and said, hey, like, I'm not a student anymore. I'm doing better, but like, I still could use a discount if that's possible. And they gave me a discount. So like amazing. It never hurts to ask, to communicate. Don't pay the first price. I'm sorry, like that. I'm just like, we're just thinking like all the things to leave you with. Like, there's so many like last minute notes you could say. I along the lines of like it, like if you ask for a discount, the only thing they'll say is no, but they still want to sell you the thing. It's not like you can't still buy the thing at the price that was really, you're not losing anything by asking. And as potential field producers, which is kind of what we teach in the online program for Full Sail, but also what like I think a lot of people who might listen to a podcast like this are like people who like have to do a lot of the work themselves. Oh my gosh, I just had a total brain fart. I totally lost the point I was going for. What was I just saying? Film Freeway, and then
Film Freeway, and then man,
I
was so
into producers.
Yeah, film producers.
I hope you can cut this part out. I just had like a huge brain fart.
No, I'm keeping this. This is the perfect part. This is real life here. Well, maybe it'll come back to you. So I do have a couple more questions here. Is there any way that our listeners can check out some of your work? Do you have any social media websites or anything that you want to promote on here?
You know, it's funny. I was talking to someone before and they're like, oh, don't be nervous about being on a podcast. They're just going to talk to you about things you're already an expert on. And then you pitch the thing you want to pitch. And I was like, I don't have a thing I'm not pitching.
You don't have a thing.
Yeah, I don't like, it's kind of funny. Like I have this really like, I've produced 3 or 4 feature films and none of them have come out. So it's like, I can't show you my feet. Like they, like for different reasons, like sometimes it's funding, sometimes it's the content, sometimes it's just the director just disappeared and took the film with them. Like whatever, like I just like, I have a weird run right now. So like, there's no features I could show you.
Well, you definitely don't have to worry about me running off with the film when you bring me on.
Yeah.
I'm stuck. You stuck with me, you know, once you bring me on.
If I can think of some stuff or send you some stuff, but mostly it's just like the biggest thing you can find of mine that you can absolutely find is called Study Break, is a short film I made. It's on YouTube. If you look it up, it's the first or second thing that comes up because it has like over 5 million views, I think. So that's why it stays at the top.
That's awesome.
And it's just a silly 70-second short film I made, but it won an audience award and awesome. Competition for the Cathay music. Cathay is in Southeast Asia. Their version, like it's a chain of movie theaters, kind of like AMC. So they do a film festival and a film competition, and I won like the second prize there. So you can look up that film. Cool. It's the reason I was hesitating and kind of laughing about it is because it's about pooping. So it's just like it's a comedy. It's you know,
gotcha.
So it's not like I'm not like the one thing I'm sharing is not like an opus or whatever. It's not like a you know, an intense drama.
Our listeners love comedies, I'm sure.
But yeah, so like if you want to just watch a goofy comedy, and so like one thing I got from this and a couple other films I've done that have gone into film festivals and done well, is that when people can relate to a story, like it does, like, so I love Star Wars and I love Marvel and I love Star Trek and I want to make huge blockbuster films. That's my life goal. That's what I'm working towards. But none of those films, or how do I word this? Any kinds of those films where you don't relate to the characters and the story and what's going on, like there's a core story. Like it doesn't matter if we're going in space or the microverse or whatever. There's a core story. Right. And so if you don't relate to that, then we're not gonna connect or love it. So I just, that's kind of what I want to do. Like I want to make sure that when you're, whatever it is you want to make, you're doing the thing that you love and that you want to make. I went on a tangent. I feel like I just need, like, maybe my blood sugars go
no man,
because it's just like I'm losing my whole point.
Angelo, I think you're too hard on yourself. Okay, and I'm gonna keep this for the recording. You're too hard on yourself.
No. I am hard on myself.
Everything that you're saying, and I'm being real with this, everything you're saying is really great information. You know what I'm saying?
Not finishing a thought, like
even if it may seem like a tangent, but I'm learning a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's amazing. If I'm learning, I know our listeners are learning. What you got? You see, you can remember.
It just clicked back with me. Sorry, like so. What I was trying to tie it back to is, so like I've made these short films, the films that I'm just trying to give advice for your viewers. I have made some pretty slick professional commercial level stuff that has not done nearly as good as like you'll see this comedy, anybody that looks it up, like it's shot well, it's nice, but some of my worst shot stuff, but is more personal, emotional, and relatable, has gone much farther. Won bigger film festivals, seen by more people, more views, people actually share it. So this comedy that I pitched you, the poop one, I know you're gonna go watch it right after this. It's still relatable. It's still a situation where, like, every now and then it could happen to you. It might have already happened to you. Since I made this movie, maybe I'm just more hyper aware of it, but every time a similar situation happens or occurs, me and everyone involved in this film, or friends of mine, or people who have seen the film, will text me. Like, it's now like a thing that goes on of like, wow. I study break. Like, oh shit, I'm on a study break. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but like, you know, like, so when you see it, send me a text. Let me know if you've ever been study breaked.
Study break. Wow. All right. Well, I got my homework cut out for me.
It's only 77 seconds. There's not that much homework.
Wow. There you go. Well, man, again, I want to thank you so much again for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of the show, man. It's been so great for me, you know, one, being a colleague and being able to work with you, you know, in the educational setting, but to learn more about you, you know, because we don't always get to learn about each other, where we come from, what inspired us to get here, and the journey we've taken. So I want to applaud you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I really admire the work that you've been doing and continue to do. And I kid you not, I see you stepping in, I see you volunteering, and I'm just like, yo, I got to get to know Angelo more. And so that's what this is. And hopefully this will build that relationship more even between us, man. Any final thoughts you have for our listeners before we close this out?
Yeah. So I thank you for everything you just said. That was like really nice and sweet. I really appreciate it. So my final advice is going to make it sound maybe like I'm dissecting what you just said, but if we take this at a really clinical level, if we step back and see this isn't us two, that we're just observing two other filmmakers, what we're doing right now is networking. Like I wasn't purposely nice. I wasn't purposely volunteering to get this vibe from you, but like that was the results. So take that information. People who put themselves out there, people who go the extra mile, people who do extra stuff are noticed in positive ways, and then people want to work with those people. So I didn't do that to somehow manipulate Ronald, but still, as this is what's happening. Ronald now wants to work with me because he's seen my behavior. So that's just something for everybody to be aware of. Like, you're always networking, whether you're aware of it or not. And you're always potentially in a situation where you can make good decisions and make good impressions. As far as final advice goes, I got a really great opportunity where I got to see J.J. Abrams talk live. When Force Awakens came out, like at the ArcLight Theater, like we got like, I think it was in the Directors Guild in LA. Like I got this like lucky, I just got this like very limited invite where we got to watch it. And then him and the writer came out who also wrote it, Empire Strikes Back. So I'm forgetting his name, but the point is J.J. Abrams said something stuck with me. So I just want to say it for you guys. Whenever he starts a new film, he has a meeting with all the keys of the department, and the keys are the heads of every department on a film set. So like the head of sound, the head of the camera, the head of makeup, every single key on the film, he has a meeting with, and he tells them, we are not going to yell on set. And I hate if I'm misquoting J.J. Abrams because we are recording, like, but this is the general gist of like, we're not going to yell on set and we're not going to fight on set. We're going to be super respectful and we're going to follow the hierarchy of the film world is kind of in a hierarchy. So I want to make sure that everyone on your set, everyone on your team is comfortable coming to you and talking to you, and everybody's got to understand that this is a friendly set. No one yells. We're all just going to be like, just like setting up the professionalism and how he wants everybody to communicate. You might have different ideas of how a set should be run, and that's fine. But that opening communication, being very open with and upfront at the start, letting everybody in every key know exactly how they want the set run so that they could put that down to the people on their teams. And I just think that communication is incredibly important. And it doesn't matter if you're only working with one other person or a huge team, but like have that talk ahead of time. Tell them how you want to run the set. Tell them the level of professionalism you expect, and then hold yourself to that level as well, if not more, and be a good example.
Nice, man. That's some really great feedback. Angelo, thank you so much, man. And we're looking forward. Everybody, make sure you check out that film. Check out the film. And we're looking forward, man, to seeing your career continue to grow, my brother. Thank you again, man. It's been a blessing. And looking forward to seeing what's next for us, man.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for our update podcast, and then we're going to make some stuff together. So it'll be great.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be great, man. I thank you again now.